In this video, we will be jumping into my first collaboration painting. Working with 50 Cal Chris, an artist from over on Instagram, we'll be tackling some fan art of Ganyu and Shenhe from Genshin Impact.
But before the video, a quick message from future me.
I don't like starting my video out on a negative note, but I'll get straight to the point. Halfway through this painting process, Chris's Instagram unfortunately got hacked, and he lost 3,000 followers overnight. So if you enjoy the art you see from his half of the collaboration artwork you see today, be sure to follow the link I've included down in the description to his new Instagram account, where he is actively rebuilding his followers and artwork collection. Go send him some love and some support. Let him know I sent you. That's all from future me though, so I'll let you all get back to the rest of the video. Hope you enjoy. So I'm starting on my half of the painting today. Now, I know that Chris has painted Ganyu, and my job will be to paint Shenhe on the other half of the canvas. But I'm going into this blind, and I do not know what I'm going to really be painting until I see what I'm getting today. I just got the email from Chris. Let's go ahead and open this up and see what I've got here. Okay. I've got some ideas popping into my head like right away. Let's go ahead and jump into this and see where this painting takes us. Oh, I'm really excited for this. Let's get started. Deciding on an exact pose for Shenhe was difficult. I had quite a few different ideas, till finally, I settled on a glance over her shoulder with her polearm and talisman at the ready. Once I was happy with that for the sketch, it's time for a refinement sketch. Basically, drawing over the gesture pose, tightening up details, and fine-tuning proportions and perspective, making sure all the pieces have room to breathe. Starting on the color scheme, Shenhe has a little more to work with than our typical characters we paint, as we have a primary, a secondary, and 3 tertiary colors. At this stage, don't worry about the material and texture, we'll get to all of that later. For now, I'm more concerned with getting my layers laid out. One layer for all the gold, another for all the accessories and tassels. Meanwhile, the skin, clothing, and hair each get their own layer as well. Getting comfortable with your layers now will make painting so much easier going forward. Jumping into the light sources and color that Chris has chosen for the other half of the painting, it's necessary to maintain that continuity so these characters feel like they exist in the same space. That said, I'm very happy with the lighting angle, and it still doesn't prevent me from adding a secondary light source at a later point in the painting. Meanwhile, moving to the background, I don't have a lot of good things to say about my first take on the background. It was an experiment. I tried making it look like some ice crystals I found on Google. Was not the right look for this painting. However, I did keep it around as a placeholder background of sorts until I overhauled it into something so much better at a later stage in the painting process. On the other hand, the face didn't take one redesign. It took several before I got it right. Oh well, I got it right eventually, and I'm actually thrilled with where it ended up. I just wish I got there quicker. 2020 hindsight, I can now see all the problems it took me so many repaints to fix. Jokes aside, this is actually worth taking a closer look at so you can learn from my mistakes. Going down the list, the hair is too thin, the nose is too long, the eye is a little too high up, and the skin was the wrong color for having blue lighting. All of these are basic level mistakes and can easily be fixed if you catch them early enough, although they will get increasingly difficult to deal with as a painting builds up layers of complexity and detail. Capturing the shiny and reflective look of a material like gold, I put a lot of effort into the contrast, of course, because it's one of the most important aspects of painting metal. But something much easier to overlook is my choice in color. As the material gets darker, you can see that I've dialed up the saturation, and inversely, as it catches more light, it will become significantly more desaturated. But some other details also play a significant role, like making the gold redder when it directly reflects some of the red fabric, and making the gold bluer when one of its surfaces would reflect the background, indicating a secondary light source in the blue spectrum. We can also see how I make substantial use of glow in several areas as an accent to the shadows when they're adjacent to a highlight. And that one step really does add some extra richness to a metal like gold that has a warm color. If this was steel, I'd probably pick like a light blue, like a teal maybe. But we're not dealing with steel here, we're dealing with gold. But one technique I do use on any metal would be wear and tear to the materials. Whether that's tiny nicks and gouges or faint scratches and imperfections. All of it helps to add an extra layer of realism to any metal material you're trying to texture. As far as layer management goes, I keep my texture additions on a new layer above the original. And I'll merge the two together on a periodic basis whenever I feel I'm happy with the changes. While I'm detailing these various materials, notice that I'm also smoothing out edges that were left rough during the early stages of the painting. The metal surfaces get nice new sharp edges, the cloth patterns like the stripes on Shenhe's top all get touch-ups. For the most part, the texture I typically paint cloth with is smooth with soft gradients. But at the same time, you need to always be aware of places where the cloth or fabric might gather or bunch up. I also include seams and stitches to add an extra level of realism to any articles of clothing that I happen to be painting. Next up, we've got the floral embellishments Shenhe has in her dress. I'm painting these on a separate layer for now, so I can change the color as necessary. Also, this gives me the ability to easily edit the colors beneath, which is helpful because the fabric underneath is slightly transparent and will likely need touch-ups and tweaks throughout the painting, as I include some fleshy tones that, with thin fabric, would show through the material. This almost leathery stitched-on material, as I'm imagining it, would have some thickness to it as well. So I'm having the light catch on the edges. In fact, there are a lot of details throughout this part of the clothing that express their depth by where the light catches. Lighting is one of the most significant ways to express texture on a material. I'm adding extra emphasis to the secondary light source by including cast shadows from everything on camera right side of Shenhe's body. Now, technically, I'm not adding shadows. I'm adding blue light and then erasing where the shadows fall. But whichever way you want to look at it, what makes the lighting work so well in this situation is the use of hard and soft edges around the light. Think of it this way: if all your lighting and shadows are soft, then your painting will lack definition. But on the other hand, if all of your edges are harsh, it can look noisy and unrefined. For the best results, you want to use a combination of both. It's also important to keep an eye on the colors you're using and make sure they respect the color of your light source. For instance, on this repaint of the face, when I finally start getting things right, everything is blue cast, and you can start to see the highlights from the secondary light source appear. Repainting Shenhe's visible eye, you can see all the variety and color her eyes have in the reference image. Honestly, she has some of the most unique and beautiful eyes I've painted so far, and I think my version turned out pretty good. Shenhe's right arm makes a great before and after to see a microcosm of most of the things we've talked about today. We've got smoothing touch-ups on a refinement pass, and the addition of a seam to add extra detail. And we also have cast shadows with both hard and gradient edges that respect the light sources. Any one of these things doesn't make a painting on its own, but when you use them all correctly, you can really come up with something extraordinary. This would not be the first character I've painted that uses a polearm, but damn, did it turn out good this time. Patterns and details aside, the lighting that makes this look so good goes light, dark, neutral, and then highlights at the center. I'm applying this lighting with blending modes, mostly multiply and color dodge. You can also use some sharp rim lighting, like I do here, to give it some extra pop. Getting a little more creative, I decided to change the look of Shenhe's arm drapes. Sleeve capes? Wait, what? I was joking, but okay, that's apparently what it's called. Cape sleeves. Okay, fitting name. Well, I decided to change the design on her cape sleeves to include a starry sky pattern. I've always liked that pattern when I've seen it before, and this seems to be an excellent chance to use it myself. I'm also going to include the starry sky pattern on her talisman, which I feel still looks good in this situation. And it's finally time to rework the background from that abomination it was before. I'm sorry, I can't get over how bad it was before. But this time, I'm staying more vague with the design and keeping some things a little out of focus to help Shenhe's stand off the background. But the design has more thought put into it than just being out of focus. I've made the luminous levels contrast against Shen. Where she gets lighter towards her top half, the background gets darker. And where her clothing starts getting dark, the background almost starts to glow. This adds a distinct separation between Shenhe and the environment, which will only be emphasized when I add rim lighting a couple of steps from now. In the meantime, I forgot to work on the hair, so let's touch that up real quick before we move on to final lighting. Starting with a multiply layer, I'm adding in some nice dark shadows that are slightly blue cast to match our lighting. Next, we use a blending mode of add to, well, add our highlights and also the rim lighting that I talked about earlier, which turned out stunning on this painting. And now let's amp up the background with a color dodge layer. Really make it sparkle with some literal sparkles that I'm hand painting in. At least until I got tired of that and then just made a brush do it for me. The only thing left to do is to blend the seam, the edge of these two paintings together, which mainly involves making sure that the background doesn't come to a sudden and abrupt end, but instead carries over to the other side and blends out. Okay, let's use Liquify to fix this. Damn it. Again, thank you to 50cal Chris for reaching out with this collaboration. Links to his Instagram down in the description. If you want to see more content like this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as it lets me know you enjoyed the video. Anyways, thank you all for joining me, and I hope to see you all next time.